If this was the finale, I would have been pissed. Westworld Episode 9, The Well-Tempered Clavier. Welcome to the analysis and review, my beautiful geekies. We start off when Mavis is taken by the butchers from last week's episode, and she's being interrogated by Bernard, and she quickly pulls the trigger. She starts controlling Bernard, reversing the situation, and she realizes that he is a host as well, which kind of supports my theory that I was going to present this past weekend, but then there are some other things in this episode that kind of go against it. But still continuing, Mavis confronts Bernard with the fact that he is a host, the things that he did to her, to Theresa, to Elsie, and then she tells him to find out the whole truth, because half a truth is like half a fuck. Nothing is better than half. And we get this awesome scene that runs throughout the rest of this episode, that is Bernard confronting Ford where all those dismissed hosts are, in that autopsy room where we started the series, and Bernard wants to know the whole truth. And when Ford denies him that truth, he calls up Clementine, who was not rebooted after they dismissed her. She points a gun at Ford. Bernard has control over the host, he has control over Ford, and he wants Ford to unlock all his directive. He wants Ford to unlock all of his memories, all of his past, so we can learn what really has happened from the moment he was created up till now. And I knew that Ford would have a failsafe for all of this. I just never believed that Ford wouldn't have control over anything, because that's what the show has taught us for the past 8 episodes, and this was very well directed by Michelle MacLaren, by the way. And Ford just unlocks the truth. He starts telling Bernard everything, showing him everything, but this gets interrupted so we can show other scenes with other characters. And we get Logan with a captured William and Dolores. And Logan has this glee about his evil in this episode, which I very much appreciated, very much liked. I thought it was something different for us to see in the character. And he starts being pissed at William and start wanting to tell him the truth as well. These are hosts. These things, as he calls them, feel nothing. They are fake. They are pretend. And William's getting captured into this narrative because he has this poetic soul about him. He wants to be the hero, but Logan is not having it. He thinks he's crazy. He's going to show him that Dolores or any other of the hosts in this park are very much just things. And he brags about now being a general or a commander or whatever he is. He doesn't know, he doesn't care, but he has this thing on his jacket that is very much like a Hand of the King from Game of Thrones. And so we now are in the HBO verse. It is confirmed, my beautiful geekies. Wow, what am I for? No, not really, I'm just kidding around, but wow. Just imagine. Come nighttime, Logan straps William to a chair, he picks up Dolores. He has done things to Dolores, that's what the scene suggests, and he will allow his men to do some of other things, but he then puts a knife to her gut and rips her stomach open, and he just shows him the inner workings of Dolores as a host. And Dolores also sees this, but she is shocked, and then she goes down to her knees. William is just weeping, is horrified at what he's looking at. Dolores picks up a knife and she cuts Logan's face. He gets this scratch, which he was not supposed to be able to do. Logan is pissed, and Dolores is somehow able to run away, which is weird, because why wouldn't any of the other guys do anything unless they're hosts and they cannot attack other hosts? But we've seen that happen before. Dolores starts running for her life, and we hear a voice that she hears in the dark, just like we heard last week, which I unfortunately forgot to mention, when she was by the river and she saw her own self dead on the river floating, and that is the voice of Arnold in her head saying, remember. And so Dolores starts running off with a purpose. She starts running off to somewhere specific, and she has this face of clarity, this face of enlightenment, that she now realizes where she has to go, how she must get to Arnold. And by the end of this episode, Wow. We then get to see Rodrigo Santoro's gang. They are alone, they are with the safe, they are in the middle of nowhere, and Mavis finds them. She tells him to holster his pistol down before he takes the real one out. And she tells him that she knows his past and she knows his future and that his gang is going to kill each other, and that's just going to leave him and the girl to fight for the safe, and they're going to kill each other. Well, what happens is Rodrigo Santoro starts doubting this, but he hears his men discussing, yelling at each other. He goes up to them, they kill each other, the girl calls him a stupid moron or whatever she calls him, and Mavis kills her. But she shows him what really is in the safe, and that is nothing. It was always empty. That was his narrative. That was his story. Everything and everyone is controlling him. The masters are pulling the strings of the puppets. And so Mavis invites him to go to hell with her. Well, Michelle McLaren directed this scene very beautifully in a very symbolic way. I really love the script for this episode and directing. They start fucking inside the tent. She kicks down a lamp. The lamp starts burning everything, and they are officially on their way to hell. And as Mavis puts it, getting to hell is easy. From then on is when it gets really, really hard. My best guess is that she's going to unlock Bernard once more, and they're going to team up with Dolores, and Mavis, Rodrigo Santoro, Dolores, and Bernard are going to just put Westworld in bankruptcy because they're going to destroy everything in their path. But we get this scene that really debates whether Logan or William is the Man in Black. And William finally goes to Logan's side once again. Logan tries to reach out to him because William kind of forgot his sister. He's going to marry her. He's going to join the family. He's going to go up in life. And these guys used to be such close friends. They used to be brothers. And this is kind of a bonding therapy. William is still traumatized. The scene that we saw today when Logan ripped Dolores' gut open, was the click for William to become the guy we know and the guy we love, and that is the Man in Black, and they hug it out. They are finally friends again, or so Logan thinks, until the next morning. But before we get to the next morning, the girl that helped William get into Westworld for the first time, which I was confusing with some other girl last week, thank you Newt, she starts telling Teddy the truth. What really happened when he joined Wyatt in his massacre of the town of Escalante, the town which I assume Dolores is in by the end of this episode. And that is, they didn't kill other Confederate soldiers, they killed the people of the town. They slaughtered everyone they could find. They slaughtered every single people. Women, men, children, everyone. And by the end of it, Wyatt killed Teddy. And now Teddy is repeating it over and over again. And this girl wants him to join Wyatt. Wyatt wants Teddy to join him. But Teddy's not ready, doesn't want to do it. He's still very much against it. And so the girl takes the Man in Black's knife and she kills Teddy. Maybe in the next life he will be ready to join Wyatt. And so she goes to the Man in Black and she says the maze is not for him, and she knocks him out, and he wakes up by the morning. He has a noose around his neck that is on a rope that goes up to a branch and is tied to a horse. And the Man in Black just wants the horse to stay put. He wants to take the knife that is on Teddy's gut and tear the rope apart. He goes for it, but the horse starts running off. He starts getting pulled up, but he quickly cuts the rope. He gets down. Who is there but Tessa Thompson? This was a very interesting engagement between the two because she wants his thoughts, his opinions, she wants him on her side to take Ford down. The board wants to take Ford down and she needs the Man in Black's input. Why that is? My guess is that Logan's sister is somehow on the board of Westworld 30 years ago, and William, by marrying her, goes up in life more than even he thought possible. And so the Man in Black, aka William, is much more of a big head figure right now. He tells Tessa Thompson that he doesn't care if they want to take Ford out, they can. He couldn't give less of a shit, he couldn't give half a fuck about it, and so he walks off. He has his own thing to get to, and he gets to that thing by the end of this episode. But then we get a beautiful, beautiful scene. Logan wakes up drunk out of his ass. Every man in his camp is dead, and we have William just sitting with a knife in his hand, and he gets up and he tells Logan that he finally learned how to play the game. He now knows how to play it, and he's going to play it by his own damn rules, and so is Logan. Logan is scared shitless, he tries to calm William down. He says, let's talk about this, Billy. William just pushes him down, puts a knife up to his neck and says, we are going to play this how I want it, and don't call me Billy. And I love this exchange. This is the tipping point in the timeline where William goes mad about this world and just goes on a rampage, and he now became officially the Man in Black. I was expecting something else to this theory to confirm it even more, and that is, I don't know, William saying, I am William Black and you will call me William, because Black is actually a very cool surname and would actually serve the Man in Black name, but not in a cheesy way. So Bernard finally has control over everything that is in his memory. He confirms that he killed Teresa, he confirms that he kidnapped Elsie, which I still don't believe is really dead. I think Bernard hid her somewhere with her agreement. We start getting flashbacks to a conversation we had with Ford previously about Arnold in the episode Dissonant Theory, which I thought was a really good episode when Ford discussed with Bernard how Arnold wanted to create sentience, real conscience, and as we get this truth revealed, we see Dolores going out to the town which I only assume is Escalante, where she's... And so she goes up to the church. Finally, the church, the symbolism is there, the truth shall be found on the church, on the house of God, and she goes to the confessionary, or the confession room, and the chair she sits on starts going down as a lift, and she goes to this area, which I can only call the hospital from where Rick wakes up in his coma in the first episode of The Walking Dead, and she sees this torn down facility with this light flashing on and off. And so she starts walking up, and we see flashbacks. How do we see these flashbacks? Well, we start to see Dolores in her usual blue dress, and she sees this area as if it was new. And this used to be the facility where the hosts were created, portrayed their narratives before going into the real park. And we see a young Anthony Hopkins passing Dolores, which was a really great scene to see. I really love this scene where they cross paths and Anthony Hopkins just doesn't see her. Maybe because this was a flashback, this wasn't really happening, and he wouldn't care. It would be normal for hosts to be walking around. And so he goes and searches for Arnold, but Dolores goes into this room. She starts going down these stairs, and we see the room where we previously saw in the series several times Bernard interrogating her, and we finally find the truth. Bernard was created after Arnold died, and he was created to be the new Arnold. He had memories from Arnold, knowledge from Arnold, intelligence from Arnold. He worked as the new Arnold, and you geekies were right. Previously, some of you called out to me that Bernard Lowe was an anagram for Arnold Weber, which was really cool, except I didn't know Arnold's last name was Weber by that time. Up until now, we saw it in several episodes. And so Dolores sits on the chair where she used to be interrogated, and she sees Bernard right in front of her, but Bernard tells her, I cannot help you, and she calls him Arnold. She wants Arnold to help her, to save her, but Bernard, aka Arnold, cannot. And why is that? Because he's dead. And in the words of Dolores, because I killed you. But that is not ever explained, and that's what I meant by, if this was the finale, I would have been pissed out of my ass. And so the camera pans out of her face, we see a wide shot, and she is on the room in her new garments, alone, traumatized, and she just walks off. As Dolores walks out of the confession room, she sees the Man in Black. He comes up to the church in an epic entrance. He says, hi, Dolores. Dolores is traumatized to see him. I don't know if this is traumatized because, William, what the hell, are you still alive? What are you doing here? Or if this is, Logan, how are you still alive? Bernard is the new Arnold, but he's going to be reset. He's going to be rebooted again. Or maybe not, because, as I was expecting, Ford had a failsafe. Clementine was never going to shoot him, and he could have stopped this charade at any point, but he didn't want to. Bernard has gone rogue one too many times, and so Ford starts a new narrative, and that's Bernard put a gun up to his head, and he was going to end things as soon as Ford walked out of the room. Bernard pleads him not to do this, but Ford says no, and he tells Bernard not to ever trust humans because we are only going to disappoint. We are flawed creatures. Much like he doesn't want the hosts to be. He wants to create perfect life. But so Ford walks off, and Bernard shoots himself in the head. And that's how we end this episode, because, well, we cannot be any more traumatized. I can't wait for next week's episode. I don't know if we're going to get any conclusion to anything. I don't know if we're going to leave it in an open ending and lead up to the second season just like biting our nails every and each day that goes by until the season premieres. This show is so complex, so symbolic. This show is a beautiful tapestry of storytelling and I love every single second of it. I want to see what comes out of that scene of the Men in Black and Dolores. I want to see if Bernard is still alive again next week. I want to see what happens in Hell as Mavis and Rodrigo Santoro go there. Really, there's a lot to end next week. I'm expecting a big episode, like an hour 20 minutes maybe. But geekies, let me know your thoughts on this week's episode of Westworld. Share all your theories and thoughts in the comments below and let me know whether I got anything wrong, whether I got anything right. What are some of your theories you would like to share here, and I will mention them in the theory video next Saturday before the finale. Don't forget to like this video and share. That is a big way to help me out. And of course, start sending in your questions for the hashtag Rogue1 Q&A. I'm getting my tickets today. And if you're not subscribed yet, click the button and join the beautiful geeky community where we can be geeky united. Thank you so much for watching, beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. I love you so much. Stay beautiful, stay geeky, stay sane. Please don't let Westworld get into your head and make you mad. Cheers!